Hello, everyone, and welcome. Tonight, I've got a story that will make you think twice before turning off the lights. Whether you're listening alone in a room or with friends, I have one piece of advice: keep your eyes open and don't ignore the sounds around you. So grab a blanket, turn down the lights, put on your headphones if you have them, and settle in. Because once this story begins, you might find yourself checking over your shoulder long after it's over. Let's begin. I woke up for no discernible reason. I was in bed, facing the window, blinds up and moonlight lightly spilling through. I looked to my right and saw my alarm clock on my nightstand in front of my face, reading past 3 something o'clock. The ceiling fan provided a soft white noise to otherwise silent room. Without turning or getting up, I reached up and picked up my phone, which had been next to me, auto playing videos. It was dead. I plugged it back in, closed my eyes again, and when I did, I heard the latch click back and the sound of the hallway door next to my bed gently sliding out of the frame. I thought, must be a draft, and paid no mind. Then I heard the door creak. I still wasn't roused. Then I heard it creak again, as if it was inching open. I opened my eyes, a little confused. Then it creaked again. Something was strange now. I turned my head over counterclockwise, shifted my body, and looked at the door. The door is on the wall that my bed is up against, and it opens towards me. It was still dark, but I could see that the door was, well, as I'd heard it, maybe an inch or two open in my room. As I looked into the small dark gap and my vision focused, I saw it just above the handle, a single thin finger was pressing the door open. I shot up out of bed, muttering expletives. The finger retracted, and the door drifted back against the frame. Someone was in my apartment. Now, wide awake, I grasped at my phone on the nightstand. It was still dead. It wasn't even charging. Why'd my charger have to pick this night of all nights to break? I raised my voice to the level of, what the fuck? What the fuck? Still trying to comprehend what I just saw. My mind ran through a series of rationalizations. Did I dream that? Some hallucination? I've had those before, right? Must have been then from outside my bedroom. At the far end of my apartment, I heard the unmistakable sound of my front door shutting. A loud, heavy thud click. At my horror, I knew that I couldn't have been dreaming. Whoever was in my apartment must have thought I wasn't home and ran once they realized I was. I thought, I don't have any guns, but I ran to my backpack and pulled out a flip knife from the outer pocket and figured, with my phone dead, I should try and get out as soon as possible and avoid waiting around. I thought that maybe I could get a glimpse of the intruder as they ran out. Part of me felt weird about the plan, though. This didn't have the hallmarks of the kind of situation, but I wasn't thinking straight. My bedroom door is a straight shot, maybe 50 or 60 feet from the line to my door. Directly outside of my bedroom is a hallway, my bathroom to the immediate left, which opens up into a living space. Knife in hand, I opened my bedroom door into the darkness of my apartment hallway. I couldn't wait. I took a stance and bolted straight for the front door. This could have only taken no more than 4 seconds, but I was frantic. I got to my door, fully panicked, like a kid running up the stairs after turning out the lights. Why was I so scared? I thought. My mind concluded, do I Do I think he might still be in here with me? I grabbed the handle and turned it, pulling it hard. It wouldn't budge. I looked up. The door was locked from the inside. If the intruder left, I thought, how was the door locked? Did I totally lose it? I asked myself. I turned and bolted, flung the door open towards my body, and spilled out, opening into the building hallway, pulling on the handle behind me to shut it. I let go of the door and started to break away. As I racked my brain for answers, something came to my attention because it didn't quite make sense. Although I had pulled on the handle hard behind me, the door behind me never made that thud click sound of being shut. I had made a right and was sprinting towards the stairs. I looked behind me to get one last glance. The door to my apartment wasn't shut. It was ajar. I slowed for a second. It was being held open by a single, thin finger curled around the edge of the door. I couldn't think anymore. I just ran. I ran down 3 flights of stairs and got to the lobby where I collapsed on a faded carpet beneath some mailboxes. A maintenance worker walked in around 5 minutes later, and I managed to get him to call the police for me. I know I sounded insane or on drugs, but I wasn't. I talked to the cops who then searched my apartment. Of course, they found nothing. I never spent another night there, and it took a lot of therapy to rationalize what happened. While I haven't seen anything like that again, sometimes at night, while I'm drifting off to sleep, I swear I hear my bedroom door creak, just an extra bit too much. I don't know how to start this. I've been staring at my screen for 20 minutes, trying to figure out where exactly things went wrong. Maybe it started the night of the accident. Maybe it started before that. I honestly don't know anymore. My name doesn't matter. What matters is that 3 months ago, I had the perfect life. Sarah and I had been married for 6 years. 6 quiet, boring, beautiful years. We lived in a small house on Denton Street. She worked at a school. I worked from home doing accounting stuff. We had a cat named Biscuit. We watched movies on Friday nights. We argued about who left the kitchen light on. Normal. Everything was so normal. Then came October 14th. I was driving home from my cousin's place around 11 p.m. Rain was coming down heavy that night. I remember the wipers going like crazy and the road looking like a black mirror. I don't remember the exact moment it happened. 1 second I was driving, next second, a flash of white light and a sound like a world cracking open, and then nothing. I woke up in the hospital. Sarah was sitting right beside me, holding my hand so tight her knuckles were white. She had clearly been crying for hours, her mascara all the way down her cheeks. "You're okay," she kept saying. "You're okay, you're okay." I had a cracked rib, a gash on my forehead, and a concussion. Doctor said I was lucky to be alive. A truck had drifted into my lane and the car was totaled. I spent 2 days in the hospital. Sarah stayed both nights, sleeping in that horrible chair beside me. She was the most caring person I have ever known, and I loved her more in those 2 days than I had ever before. Things felt normal when I got home. For about a week. The first thing I noticed was the smell. Sarah always smelt like vanilla body lotion. She'd been using it for years, since even before we got married. It was one of those small things I loved about her. Whether she walked into a room, there was this soft, warm smell. About a week after I came home from the hospital, she walked past me in the hallway, and I smelt something else. Something cold, like wet earth, like a basement that hadn't been opened in years. I didn't say anything. I thought maybe it was something she'd picked up outside, maybe from the garden, I let it go, but it kept happening. The second thing was the way she slept. I've slept next to Sarah for 6 years. I know how she sleeps. She always curls up on her left side, facing away from me, with one hand tucked under the pillow. Always, without fail. About 10 days after the incident, I woke up at 2 a.m. for no reason. Sarah was lying flat on her back, completely straight, arms by her side, eyes closed. She wasn't snoring, she wasn't shifting, she wasn't doing anything. She looked like she was laid out in a coffin. I told myself people sleep in weird positions sometimes. I rolled over and closed my eyes. But the next night, I woke up at 2 a.m. Again. Same position. Flat. Still. Arms down. I put my hand near her mouth to feel if she was breathing. She was, but just barely. Tiny, shallow breaths. I didn't sleep the rest of that night. I wanted to say something here because I know how this sounds. I was not going crazy. I had no history of mental illness. Yes, I had a concussion, but the doctors had cleared me already. I was not imagining things. I know what I saw. The third thing was photographs. Sarah loves photos. Our house is full of them. Framed photos on every wall. Our wedding, our holidays, some random Tuesday afternoons she found beautiful enough to capture. She's always been like that. One evening I was dusting the shelves in the living room and stopped in front of our wedding photo. It's a big one right above the fireplace. Just the two of us outside the church. Me in my grey suit, her in a wedding dress, laughing at something one of the guests had said. I looked at it for a long time. Then I felt my stomach drop. In the photo, my arm is around Sarah's shoulder. Her hand is up near her face, laughing. Everything normal. Except Sarah's shadows on the ground behind her was pointing the wrong direction. My shadow stretched behind me, away from the sun. Normal. Her shadow pointed towards the sun, towards the light. Shadows don't do that. Shadows can't do that. I took the photo off the wall. I stared at it for a long time under the kitchen light. I told myself it was a camera trick, a lighting thing, something with the way the photo was printed. And I put it back on the wall and never looked at it directly again. But sometimes, from across the room, I could feel it, like something was wrong in a way I couldn't explain with words. I started watching her, not in a crazy way, just paying attention. She never ate much, I noticed that. She used to love food. She could finish a whole pizza by herself on a bad day. Now she moved food around her plate. She drank water, but I never once saw her actually swallow a bite. She stopped going to bed before me. She used to fall asleep on the couch by 10 p.m. Now she sat in a chair in the corner of the bedroom, just waiting until I got into bed. Then she would lie down. Her phone? Sarah used to be on her phone constantly, texting her sister, scrolling through cooking videos. One day I picked her phone up while she was in the shower. No messages, no call history, no app usage. Like the phone had never been touched. I called her sister, Mira, from my work phone. Hey, I said, trying to sound casual. How are you? Have you talked to Sarah lately? There was a pause on the other end. What what do you mean? Mira said slowly. I just mean recently, like this week. Another pause. Longer this time. Are you okay? Mira asked. Her voice sounded strange, tight. I'm fine. Why? Sarah hasn't. She stopped. Can you come over? Can you come here right now? I told Sarah I was going to the pharmacy. She smiled at me from the couch, that warm smile I had fallen in love with. Don't be long, she said. Mira opened the door before I even knocked. Her eyes were red. She looked like she hadn't slept. She sat me down at the kitchen table and she put her hands flat on the table and looked at me. Sarah's been calling me, she said. Every day. Twice a day sometimes. I stared at her. Okay. She's been calling me from a number I don't recognize. Not her number. Amira's voice was barely above a whisper now. She keeps saying the same thing every time. I didn't want to ask. I asked anyway. What does she say? Mira's eyes filled with tears. She says he survived the accident, but I didn't. Please tell him I love him. Please tell him to look at who came home. I drove home in a state I cannot describe. I walked through the front door. The woman on the couch looked up and smiled at me. You're back, she said. I looked at her face, same eyes, the same smile I had kissed 1,000 times. Who are you? I whispered. She tilted her head slightly, like she was confused by the question. Then she smiled again, wilder this time. I'm your wife, she said softly. And somewhere in the house, I heard Biscuit, our cat, let out a long and terrible scream from under the bed. He had been hiding there for 3 weeks. He never hid from Sarah, not once in 6 years. I'm writing this from Mira's house. I haven't gone back. The thing in my house still calls me from Sarah's number every night at 2 a.m. I never answer, but last night it left a voicemail. I played it this morning with shaking hands. It was Sarah's voice, my real Sarah's voice, crying. She only said 4 words. Don't let it stay. I don't know what came home with me from that accident, but it's still in my house, sleeping in my bed, feeding my cat, who screams every time it comes near, and I don't know how to make it leave. If anyone has experienced anything like this, please, I need your help. I will try and update when I can. Stay safe. Hug the people you love, and if something feels wrong, even something small, even something you can't explain, trust that feeling. Trust it. Thank you, and good night.